Hello, my name is Rob Ryan, and there's one very common pattern that flows with every single relationship that has issues. It's what I call the domino effect. And this domino effect is first the domino falls, then the second domino falls, then the third domino. It just kind of goes down the line. You know how the routine goes. So it all starts with a very common pattern when you start losing frame. That she's going to pull back. She's going to pull back a little bit of attention. She's going to pull back a little bit of intimacy. She's going to start emotionally withdrawing. Now, this is the first step, and this is honestly one of the best times to start fixing the problem. This is when the problem is still 100% fixable. But what happens next? The intimacy starts dropping, and then the arguments start. And then, usually at the next stage, you start losing respect because you're not the leader that she respects. You're not the man that she wants. She's really beginning to question, can I do better? She's asking herself, is there better men out there? Maybe she even invites this kind of introductions with other men. You know, she goes to the grocery store and a guy starts talking to her. Before, she just stonewall him. Now she might actually jump in a conversation. She's going to come home and maybe tell you about these interactions with the men. Yeah, this guy was hitting on me today. Versus before, she would just shut that stuff down cold. So then there's going to start seeping in doubts. And I'm walking you through the process because I've seen it thousands of times. And then what happens is you're going to have doubts. The intimacy's dropped. She's losing a little bit of respect. She just told you about this guy at the grocery store. So what starts happening? You start thinking about infidelity. You start questioning her trust. You start questioning why she's respecting you. And then you start thinking, maybe there's someone else. Maybe there's another man in play, right? Maybe there's something else. And more often than not, there's no other man in play. What there is you and the version of you that you used to be, the version that has frame, the version that she's like, I wish he was like this, but he's not like this. He's now this guy. He's now this weak guy that I can get to do anything. And then it just steadily goes downhill from there. Now, this is honestly still one of the best places to start fixing the problem. When you start having lack of intimacy, when you start having lack of respect, when you start getting into these fights and these issues where your relationship becomes very, very mechanical, this is still the best time to fix it. Because then what's going to happen? This may be a year, this may be 3 years, this may be 5 years. It's going to happen though, is it's just going to gradually decline. Eventually, sex is going to dwindle down to once a month, maybe once every 3 or 4 months, once every 6 months, and even less frequently. Maybe get your occasional birthday job, right? You know what I'm talking about. So then what happens is she sees it as a reward everything just gets worse. And then what happens once infidelity seeps in, once she's cheated or you've cheated or someone's strayed, then that's where the relationship just goes bad. Fortunately, you can still repair it after that. If she's cheated, I don't advise men to repeat it, to repair it. It's done. You've already lost that one. Trying to come back from that's going to be an immensely large challenge. But even if there's not infidelity, maybe you separate and you start sleeping in different locations. Sometimes it starts just in the home. Sometimes someone moves out of the house. Once you get to that point, she's basically made the commitment. Her mind is already made that it's over. And recovery after that point is very, very slim. I've worked with a lot of men that I've helped get back from that point, but it is so much more difficult. The best time to start hitting these things is when you start losing that respect, when the submission and the intimacy just starts dropping. This is not normal marriage. Normal marriage does not mean intimacy drops. It doesn't mean the honeymoon stage ever ends. It just means that you never had frame and all those little tips and tricks and things that you learned over the years are no longer effective. You need to be a real man now. You need to have strong frame. You need to have the intimacy frame. You need to have the comic frame. You need to have the rock frame. You need to have the conviction frame. You got to know all of the dark frames. You got to know all of these things on how to push all of those correct buttons that the bad boys can push, which usually the bad boys are usually simps anyways, but that's a whole nother topic. But you need to learn how to push those buttons and be the man of conviction that she really wants, that she knows you are absolutely the best option for her. So here's one thing I want you to think about. By contacting this call, you're trying to fix this pattern before it's too late. Because once it's too late and you're living separately or she's had an affair, it's going to be so much harder to repair. So I'm looking forward to talking with you, moving forward, fixing, standing all those dominoes back up, right? And we all go through stages. You want to stay in those early stages though, right? Sometimes you're going to slip, things are going to happen. You might lose a little bit of frame, then you got to get it back, right? And you just stay in that top area. Once you get way over here to where infidelity creeped in and you're not even living together anymore, it's much, much more difficult. So now is the best time to fix it. You do not want to wait every day, every week, every month you let pass by as much larger chance that your relationship is headed for divorce or complete failure. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on the call. I want to get this fixed for you right away before it gets too late, before it's unfixable, before you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a divorce. We don't want to get you to that point. We want to catch it early and fix it.